and I'm going to pull up her. Oh, shoot. Oh, okay. Got something just popped up. I keep getting these texts nonstop. I'm suddenly on a morning group text that's popping up like crazy. Okay. So Melanie is the founder of Everyday Leaders Professional Coaching and Counseling. She's a certified John Maxwell team leader, coach, speaker, and trainer, and is a certified Why Institute agent. She helps others discover their own why. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Why book. It's great. But she'll go through some of this. I think it's going to be very exciting. And Jody Bundy is one who last meeting recommended her. And I'm like, oh, yes, I've met her before. Anyway, I'm thrilled that Jody gave this recommendation. Melanie's professional influence began at Walt Disney World and carried into financial services, fundraising, and medical device sales and leadership. She believes in the power of our mindset to design our life with purpose. She is a popular event master of ceremonies, voice actor, leadership podcast host of Everyday Leaders 50 and 50, best-selling author, motivational speaker, and life strategy coach. She challenges her clients to dream beyond their limited beliefs and create better strategic whys to make sense out of the possibilities in front of them to change the world. What she knows is that when you know your why and start with your why, what you do has more impact. So let me introduce Melanie and thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and put ourselves on mute. Looks like most people have, and I'll put mine on mute. And then after she speaks, we can open it up to questions. Unless she wants to do questions in between, feel free to. All right. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you.
Thank you. This is awesome. First of all, thank you very much, Brooke, for coordinating, and Mindy and Jody for inviting me and to connect. I love doing this. This is my why. And so I really want to take you through some slides, and I apologize if you go, oh my gosh, slides, but it is interactive. So I want you to get a piece of paper out first and a pen. Because I'm going to have you do a little exercise. I'm going to have you write some things down. Um, I've put in the chat. I am a big like connector for the chat because I love to save this and go back. So if you haven't seen the chat yet, please go in there and let me know what you do for organizing, and then maybe what your favorite job for organizing was. So what did that client look like? Think about that. You don't have to do it right now, but think about it through the presentation because it's really important when you understand what really lit you on fire about the things that you enjoyed the most. We all have those jobs. And then we say, if I didn't have to do that ever again, that would be awesome. But this is what I would love to rinse and repeat. If I could do this, more of this every time, that would be the life that I would want. So that'll lead you to a lot of the things, the questions that you have about your own why. So I'm going to give you just kind of a highlight here. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to tell you a couple of ways that you can discover your own why. And then I also have workshops and classes every single Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern. So wherever you are, I was asking kind of where you guys are in Indiana. You might be on Central Time. Oh, don't you love Indiana and our 18 counties that we don't love? But anyway, I wanted to just kick this off and say thank you so much for just taking time to kind of listen, lean in. This is for you, right? This is going to teach you something new that you didn't know about yourself. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen here if I have the ability to do that. Perfect. All right. And any questions that you have, please leave those in the chat and I will be monitoring that as well. All right. So this is my journey. So why I thought that the why was so important. In 2016, I was going through a big transition in the medical device world. And if any of you have been involved in that, I know, Lori, we were talking, and your husband was in medical device in Johnson and Johnson and Biomed, and so you get it. It's really competitive. It's crazy. You have to do a lot of things that you may not think that you would normally do. And I was being challenged in 2016 to take a training company in a big medical device organization called Cantel Medical, and they were all about infection control. And we were moving sales teams from the United States, and we were taking them over to Europe to help train independent reps become full W-2 employees. And so some of these people had no idea how to sell products from a manufacturer. And so, anyway, there were lots of strategies that we were trying. And the things that were working were things that I knew that I was really passionate about, which was Simon Sinek's Start with Why. And I started introducing this into these programs. And it was so powerful that people started really connecting to the product and the people that we were serving. And so, the funny thing was, I was challenged by my leadership team and it said, what value do you have? And we're going to send you to Europe to start this brand new program. And you have 2 weeks to set it all up. So anyway, I did it and it was really successful. And in the middle of this whole project, it was 8 months. And so now it's, 2016 and it was in the summer. So July 4th, this kicked off. Well, by October, I was really frustrated and I thought, man, I need to invest in my own personal growth. And I had just kind of forgotten about it. So I joined the John Maxwell team and it started to really help me get clear on a lot of things in my life. This picture, why I tell you the story is because the picture on the left here that you see is Simon Sinek. And I met him at the John Maxwell Live to Lead conference in 2016. So my journey was just continuing to build. I loved the idea about Start with Why. I had used Simon's material for my own because I really felt like it was powerful. And so now it's 2021. And last year I joined the Why Institute to help train other people how to find their why, how to live their why. So that's what I love about this journey is, you go back and connect the dots and you realize, wow, it was really being set up for me. I just had to continue to live my dream. So that's why I kind of open this up and tell you a little bit of the background here. And I'm going to show you a video. And this is kind of the compilation of what I'm doing today. Okay, so, whoops, sorry. That always happens when I'm trying to hit the next button. So there it is. So as 2016 started, I was like, okay, I am a contributor. I want to just sign on. I want to go jump when my bosses say jump and go to Europe and in 2 weeks and plan all these trainings and get it done and check it off the list and be a producer. That was who I was. And so all these years I've thought, well, I want to just contribute to a greater cause because I love fitting in. I love helping people. I love making an impact. And that's the world that I lived in. So as I started to discover more and really about personal development, personal really strategies, I continued to learn just more about what really drove me to do the things that I did. And it really helped me to get clear on the process that I needed to follow. So, anyway, here we go into the Why Institute. When I found the Why Institute, this helped me get really clear. I love that you guys are all organizers for all kinds of things because what the Why Institute taught me, and what I'm going to show you here, is it's about the order of things. It's about the order of understanding why you do what you do, how you bring your why to life, and then what you ultimately deliver to the world. And when we discovered this language, this specific language in the specific order, then it makes a huge impact for yourself, for your customers, and for everyone that you're serving in your community. So I'm really excited to just share this process with you. I'm going to show you a video next. This is from Simon Sinek. If you have not seen this. This is his video, his most popular TED Talk, Start with Why. And if you've read the book, Start with Why, Find Your Why, Infinite Game, Together is Better, he has so many now. But this is from his first TED Talk with Start with Why. It's just a short clip. And I want you to kind of understand it's all about the brain and how we are communicating in the right order. So here we go. And I'll play this here for just a few minutes.
Probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, but very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. By why, I mean what's your purpose, what's your cause, what's your belief, and why should anyone care? The inspired leaders and the inspired organizations all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this: we make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. That's how most marketing is done. That's how most sales is done. We say what we do. We say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? People don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Again, the goal is not just to sell people who need what you have, the goal is to sell to people who believe what you believe. If you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they work for you with blood and sweat and tears. Something called the law of diffusion of innovation. The first 2.5% of our population are our innovators. The next 13.5% of our population are our early adopters. The next 34% are your early majority, your late majority, and your laggards. That if you want mass market success or mass market acceptance of an idea, you cannot have it until you achieve this tipping point between 15 and 18% market penetration. So it's this here, this little gap that you have to close. Because you see, the early majority will not try something until someone else has tried it first. And these guys, the innovators and the early adopters, they're more comfortable making those intuitive decisions that are driven by what they believe about the world and not just what product is available. These are the people who stood online for 6 hours to buy an iPhone when they first came out. Leaders hold a position of power or authority, but those who lead inspire us. And it's those who start with why that have the ability to inspire those around them or find others who inspire them. Thank you very much. Probably the world.
Okay, I'm going to just stop here for just a second. And I heard, I forget who it was, that said, I do this, but I'm not allowed because I don't have a degree. I can't promote it as that. So I have to be a designer. Who said that earlier? Georgie. Okay. This is exactly what this is talking about, right? The way that we see ourselves and the order of how we communicate is sometimes like, well, I can't attract those people because what they believe is they have to have somebody that has a degree in this. So this is what's so helpful is when you start to understand your real gift of why you're showing up to do the things that you do to serve people, and you can communicate that clearly, it starts to change everything. Your customers start to hear you very clearly, and they start to show up in a way that you're like, what happened? For me, and I'm going to tell you this in just a few minutes, but the light bulb came on and it's like, I cannot turn the switch off because I was getting it all wrong. What I thought I was doing isn't why I was doing it. So it was so powerful. All right. So I hope you're enjoying this so far. Please continue to put in the chat here because I love this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to answer every single one of you guys. If not during this presentation, I will get back with you because this is so powerful. Lights start to come on in every step of this. So I'm going to now introduce you to Gary Sanchez. which is the founder of the Why Institute. So Gary Sanchez was a dentist, and oops, right here. And so he was a dentist for many, many years. And about 10 years ago, he said, I want to start asking people if they understand their why. He started interviewing them and asking them all kinds of questions. And what he discovered is there were all these threads, the same kind of lineage for all these different people, different industries. And so he got really curious. And so after about 10 years and collecting all this data, he said, I want to discover my why. And so he took all this data to Simon Sinek and he said, I want you to help me discover my why. You've written all these books, you've studied this for years. And so they sat down for about 8 months and they put this algorithm together. And this algorithm is about 1,500 questions in a database. And it really has delineated there are 9 whys in the world. Everyone has one, and you are one of them. And so, what's great is they came up with this process, and then, inspired by Simon, Gary started the Why Institute. So, that's how this evolved, and it has been life changing. Because here's why. When we talk about the way we communicate, if anybody's from a science background, we think about the way in our language that we speak today. And we say, okay, if we're going to speak to someone, it's all about facts and data, right? You need to be here at 2:30 because you need to show up because it's your responsibility, and we need your help, right? That may be something that you say every day. That's really rational and analytical thought and language coming from the neocortex side of the brain. What Simon has studied is this limbic part of the brain. And when we speak from our why, like he said in the video, it starts to build loyalty and trust. And it's where the decision making happens. So if you can start to speak from that part of your brain, and it's so easy, yet it's so hard because we have been trained rational analytical thought, right? Facts and figures. If I show you this, will you do this? Right? That's how most sales are done. And when you're business owners, you think, how can I get somebody to be attracted to what I do and how I do it? Well, when we get this language right, everything starts to change because you actually show up believing your why and people hear you. That's what's different. If I were to say that I wanted to contribute to this group, that would be great. And I would want to show up to do that, but it's not my why. So we're going to talk about that here in just a second. All right. When I did the photo managers group about a month ago, I took this from their profile in their Facebook group because one of the guys is a big influencer and he was talking about his why. And it was so important because he had finished a job and then he got a response and a hug, this emotion that evolved because he was really feeling like he was living in his why, focused on the memories that he had put together for this book. And so I just love when people say, hey, I've really connected to the things that I'm doing because it really moves and influences people. So I wanted to share that with you. And also the thought and ideas about personality testing, right? So sometimes we have taken Enneagram or Strength Finders or DISC, so many of those out there. Myers-Briggs, you may have taken a long time ago. And these all are how we react to the world. So not our why, but if we show up in a room, we're going to react to a situation based on these personality assessments that we take. So if you were an ID or an SC, you would naturally just say, "Great, I don't want to have conflict, or I want to light up the room. I want to be an influencer. I want to get connected to people. I want to be social." And so those are the reactionaries of our personality, but not our why. When we start from why, this is where we really thrive and make a bigger impact. So, kind of like a puzzle. So, what I want you to do right now on your sheet of paper, if you have it, do a tic tac toe board. So, just two parallel lines vertically and then two horizontal lines. And because we're going to add a little puzzle piece here, and I'm going to have you write down these 9 whys as we go through. The first one is contribute. So wherever you want to write that in your little graphic on your page, write down the word contribute. So what does it feel like? Why does it feel like I let people down if I say no? This is the why of contribute. See, I thought I was a contribute. And if this resonates with you, you may be a contribute. This is the person that wants to add value to the nth degree. You'll stay 150 hours a day to check something off of a list to make sure that you get it done because you really just want to show up and be part of the team. Doesn't matter what you have to do, you'll be there. Count on me, coach. I want to make an impact. So we're going to get to the other ones here in just a second. But if you feel like, when you let people down and you say no, and that's like a gut-wrenching sword in your side, you may be contribute. So think about that for just a second. All right, I'm going to remind you, people don't buy what you do. They don't buy what you do as an organizer. They buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves what you believe. So if you're organizing something and you're speaking in a context on a website or communicating in a meeting, this is what I do. But if we change that conversation around and started with why, you would have an entirely different audience listening to you and actually building that loyalty and trust in your conversation. So the 2 most important days of your life, the day you were born and the day you discover your why. Mark Twain said this, many people have said this, but I love this slide because that's what it feels like. That's what it felt like for me. I know, Jody, you can say the same thing. When we did yours, you were like, oh my gosh, I get it. And that's how it feels because it really turns on a different part of your brain. And when you start communicating it, it changes everything. So, all right, get your pen out because we're going to talk about the rest of the why. So you've got contribute down. The second one is trust. If your why is trust, you will do anything to build loyalty, to make sure that someone knows that you're loyal, that you can be counted on. That is the why of trust. Better way. Better way people want to invent constantly. They're looking, striving for better ways. If you see something, a straw, right? Take a straw, for instance, and you say, but it can be used in so many other different ways. It's not just a straw. It's this, it's that. It can be used as a spitwad, right? Some of the kids in school, remember? But that's the thing. You're always looking at something saying, I can make it better. That's a better way person. Right way. These are people that want organized structure. They know that there is an order to everything and there's a right way to do it. So you may think because you like to organize that you're a right way person, but that may not be why you actually show up and do what you do. That's what the difference is. Challenge the status quo. Challenge the status quo is exactly that. These people do not fit into normal rules, regulations, out of the box thinkers, and just are always inventing things that aren't there. Not like Better Way. Better Way sees something and says, I can make that better. Challengers are creating something in a space that doesn't already exist. So, Georgie, for you, thinking about, well, I don't have a degree. What is the gap that I can create that doesn't exist right now to serve people in a different way? And so that could be, if you were a challenge, that may be what you would be thinking about. I don't want to leave the make sense out because make sense is Jody. So this is a great why. This is someone that can put things in order very quickly. So if you see something and it seems chaotic, but for you, your gift is you can make things easily, logistically, orderly, very quickly. The challenge with that why is some people think that you do it so fast that you're kind of like you're a know-it-all? Really? You can get that done? But you show up with this gift. And what is awesome is when you realize that, you go, I can use that gift to serve so many people because you think everybody thinks like you, but they don't. So that's when we start to really tick into the next step, which is those personalities, right? So if you make sense of things, man, you can be so logical about a problem, a chaotic problem, and be the one that everybody comes to solve it. And so that's a really strong why. And it's a great why. So, all right. So let's go down to mastery. Mastery is someone that loves many, many things, loves to research. It may be the person that you think about in your life. If it's not you, the people go to ask questions, deep questions about lots of different topics. So if it's science, if it's history, if it's math, that's the person, no matter what subject it is, you can go to them because they're very studied on it. Those people never feel like they are an expert. They're always searching for the next thing that they can research. They never feel justified in they have enough information. I laugh because my husband's how is mastery. And he's always wanting to make sure that he has enough information because his why is trust. So he's trying to connect and create that loyalty and that connection with his customers. So going through this why process really helped him start to get really clear on who he served and how he could serve. All right, the last two, clarify is to understand. This is a great why. If you have somebody on your team or you know someone or you are that person, to clarify the situation, to make things clear so that you can understand them. So, right, all of you are organizers in some fashion. To be able to help and serve your customers, you've got to get really clear on what it is that you need to accomplish. So, anybody in business, you would think, okay, maybe their why is clarify. But here's the test, right? So if you're asking someone to do something with you and you say, hey, Jody, I want you to go to the movies with me. And Jody, you may say, okay, great, Mel, let's go. What time? And I might say 7:30. Great, see you there. She's a make sense person. The clarify why may say, great, Mel, 7:30. Okay, who's going with us? What should I wear? Should I bring a sweater? Are we going to eat before then? Are we going to go out afterwards? Who's in the movie? Have you seen this before? Who are the actors in the movie? What have they been in? Clarifying to understand, not to drive you crazy, clarifying because they need to be understood and they want to understand. And so it's great because when you start realizing this, how clear it is, you start to recognize the people in your life that actually can add so much value to you because they're going to ask every single question you're not thinking about. So I love the clarified people in my life. All right, simplify. This is the last one. Simplify is to make things simple. So this should be the last box on your chart that you're drawing. So simplify is just the people that you know. Easy way to understand this is they just like things simple, no chaos. If they have a car, they may have one brand of car their entire life. They may drive Hondas or BMWs, whatever, they may only drive the same car their entire life because why would they have other choices? Keep things simple. If you know someone that just wears a certain color, they always wear red, and maybe they throw a little bit of white in there or a little bit of black, but they're pretty consistent in their wardrobe because they just keep things simple. You go to their home, they have one thing on their table, they have one picture on one wall, and because they just like things clean and simple. Why have chaos if you don't need it, right? So, um, so that's kind of the overview of the 9 whys. So I'm going to stop here because we've got another video that I'll show you when you start to understand your why, how it has more impact. It's a great example of it. Do you guys have any quick questions right now before I go on? No? Mindy, yes?
Could you be two of them or a little bit of a couple of them?
I love that question. So you only have one why. You only have one why. through the workshop, we go through and really delineate your how you do what you do, how you bring your why to life, and then what you ultimately deliver to the world. And we come up with a very nicely packed sentence, right? It's just like, here's what I do, here's here's why I do it, here's how I do it, here's what I deliver to the world. And that's how you start to communicate. And that's what changes everything. It's amazing. So you have a little bit of all of these, but again, it's your environment, it's your career, all these things show up, but your why never changes. Well, like I said, when I go back and connect the dots of all the things that led me to where I am, my why, I'm like, uh-oh. Yep, it's pretty true. So, so that's why I love this so much because it really shocked me. I am not a contributor like I thought I was. And I'll tell you here after this video what happened to change that. So, anybody else, real quick? Nope. Okay. All right. Perfect.
I have a quick question.
Yes, absolutely.
So let me ask you this. So when okay, so for me, I feel like I need to be honest with my customers, and I don't want to feel like I'm deceiving them. But but if I'm giving off the perception that it comes across as I can't do it, that's not true. I don't believe that's true, and I don't want to portray that message. I'll fake it till I can make it, and get it done and make mistakes and learn from the mistakes as I'm going along and not let the client know. They ask me to do something and I'm not quite sure how to do it in decorating. I'd be like, oh, that's okay. I'll get it taken care of and then I'll figure it out. So how should I present that differently? And in general for everyone, how do you present yourself if there is that, and being honest at the same time?
When you're honest with your why, right? If you had to choose one of these 9 whys and you said, if I started speaking from that instead of the belief that I don't have a degree, so I can't serve the people that I want to serve. But if you're communicating, I do it this way. So I'll give you an example. So when I thought I was a contributor, I was like, oh, I want to add value to you. I want to show up in your group. I want to just be a part of it. What I learned when I took the assessment is that I was a challenge. And I realized that how I was communicating was a contributor and I wasn't showing up that way.
Right.
So when I did my why, how, what, it's not even in my top 3. I was shocked, but I thought, oh my gosh, this is how people see me. This is how I show up. And I didn't even realize that what was driving me to really do the things that I had always done was because I wanted to challenge the status quo, create things that weren't ever there. That's why I always got on special task for my jobs, right? Well, she'll do it. She'll figure it out. She'll make it work. And so that's a gift. And I thought, well, doesn't everybody else work that way? But I was trying to show up as a contributor and it just didn't make sense. It wasn't in my strength zone. It wasn't what I was doing and it wasn't how I was showing up. So it got really clear for me as I went through this process to say, oh my gosh, now I know I show up to challenge everything that I do. And I'm going to challenge people to do things differently because I know it gets really clear. And so, how I do that is by finding better ways, better strategic ways that don't exist. And then what I ultimately deliver is to help them make sense out of their complex ideas or complex, goals that they have in front of them. Those are the clients I serve. They come to me with I have all these dreams, and then they want to get really clear, figure out a better way that doesn't already exist out there, and then we design it. So that's my gift. And when I own that, it's like I have clients calling me from all kinds of places that I would have never thought because now they hear me. They actually hear me speaking where my gift zone is. So, anyway, I want to encourage you, keep working on that because it is so important when you think I don't fit in here or I have to compare myself to do it a certain way because of these other things. You don't. You don't. You just speak from your why and you would you just would be shocked at the people that just start trailing along saying, I need your help, Georgie, because you're the exact person. I don't want the other person. I want you because this is why you're gifted and I can trust you because you're speaking very clearly to what I need. I hope that helps. Okay. All right. So I think this will help you too, Georgie, in watching this video, because again, um, why you do what you do, and when you know your why, what you do has more impact. So this video is a comedian. He does a series and he's going to show you like when you speak from what you think your why is, or when you're asked to do something versus when you really show up for your why, for your soul purpose. This is really great. So
Series is called How Do I Know? And a lot of times when people hear the phrase, how do I know? The next thing they say is what? How do I know what? But the key really isn't to know what. The key is to know why. Because when you know your why, you have options on what your what can be. For instance, my why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. My what is stand-up comedy. My what is writing books. My what can be going out with some friends to eat. In fact, another what that has moved me towards my why is a web series that we have out now called Break Time. So every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, you should subscribe to the channel. We do a series called Break Time on YouTube. So 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode. One episode in particular, I'm about to show you a clip to. We were in Winston-Salem. So Break Time, this is how it works. I travel the country, I do stand-up comedy, probably an hour, hour and a half at an event. And in the middle of my show, I'll just sit down and start talking to the audience. And funny just happens. Or I'll meet somebody who's really interesting. So I met this one guy, and he said that he teaches music at a school. I was like, all right, you teach music, you know, can you sing? And then I'm just gonna show you the clip. Check it. So you're a musical director?
Yes,
Cool.
sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing. You know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Right now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
So here's the thing. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time I asked him to sing, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what has more impact because you're walking in or towards your purpose.
there you go. Isn't that great? I just love it. And that's exactly how it happens. That is exactly what happened to me when I discovered that I was not a contribute, how I was showing up for 50 some years in my life thinking, well, that's what I should be doing, right? I was told you should just add value. You have a good attitude. You should show up and just do the right things. But that's not how people saw me. And so I wasn't being honest. I was being like this imposter in my own life. So this is what changed everything for me. And it's so powerful. So all right, so let's go to
Series
then
is called
whoops, the next slide. So out of those that you wrote down, I want to read this and I want to ask you from what you know right now, which why do you think that Kimberly Melton is? So she says, every once in a while, a light bulb goes off with a great idea. Last night I was working on removing photos from an old sticky album. I was using the crafter's tool, which I normally used, and it started hurting my hand. And I thought, what else can I use? Light bulb. The kitchen scraper worked fabulously. I'll never use anything else. Guess I'll need to buy another one for the kitchen. All right. So, what would you think her why would be? You can put it in the chat if you'd like. Um, and I think if I took Kimberly's why and she did this, that she might be, what do you think? What do you think? Yes, Mindy. Yes. Good job, guys. Good job. And this is how you start to see it, right? Because this is her gift and this is what she's normally thinking about. She's relaxed. She's not trying to put on any airs. She just says, this is the way that I think. So clients that would come to her would say, oh my gosh, you're going to take my mess and you can organize it, but you might think of something that is I already have here, but we're just going to clean it out and you're going to reorganize it so that I can think and I can have the best life ever. But you're the person that can get it done because this is how you show up naturally, right? Awesome, awesome example. All right. So, these are the 9 whys. So I wanted to give you a little bit more definition, right? So all of these are explained again how I explain them to you, but contribute is to contribute to a greater cause, make a difference, add value, or have an impact. Trust, to create relationships based on trust. If you speak from your why, and this is your why, it is more important to you than anything else. So, how this looks as a why is if you do something and you ask somebody to meet you at a certain time and they're late, it kills you. You can't trust that relationship. You question the relationship. You question everything about the relationship, what they say to you, based on that one thing, right? They didn't show up on time. That broke your trust. All right, makes sense. So we talked about Jody. Thanks for being our guinea pig today, Jody. To make sense out of things, especially if if it's complex or complicated. So I think most of you probably know Jody is also an EMT, and so thinking about the things to assess very quickly when you're out on a run, to have to make sure that you're doing the right things in the right order. That also leads to her make sense why. She feeds that everything that she does, photo organizing and living her life. All right. Better way to find a better way and share it was a great example of that. Right way to do things the right way in order to get results. So this is like science, math, very factual things. If you like to follow a recipe and you like to do things in the right order. Now, the next one, challenge me, sorry, to think things differently and challenge the status quo. I don't do things at all the right way. I throw the instructions away. I don't follow a recipe. I don't really cook. But the thing is, I'm okay with that because I know that my why is challenge. I wasn't designed to follow instructions. So that's the thing, right? We were all designed differently. We all have this one why that drives us. All right. So mastery, to seek mastery and understanding, again, at a very deep level, not just I'm curious about this, but these are the people that really dive deep into multiple subjects and they know everything, yet they don't ever feel like they have it all together. They're always wanting to know a little bit more. All right. Clarify, we talked about to create clarity, to be understood. And then simplify is to make simple or understandable. So from there, you should have all of these on your chart right now. And I want you to circle the one that you think is most like you. So if we were together right now live, I'd be giving you puzzle pieces and telling you to put the puzzle pieces together in the right order. So just like the importance of why, we've talked about this. Why is first, then we put your how together, then we build on your what. And we begin to make a statement of purpose for you so that you get clear and can make a bigger impact in your life and for your clients. Just like the alphabet, right? Just like the alphabet, if we mix up the letters THE, it doesn't spell the or AND. And so we have to be really clear on the order of things so that we can be understood. Phone numbers, same way. If we dialed one phone number, we're going to get one person. We can't get two people because it's the order of everything that we do. Just like what you guys do, you help your customers with organizing and creating order. So, in the workshop, we do the define the 9 whys. We figure out the how and the what based on what you do and how you do it. And then we develop your personal why operating system. So, what we call your operating system for life and how you start to communicate very clearly. So, I want to show you this is Gary Sanchez. He's got a little message for you just about the why specifically.
I bet you've been told by family, friends, and maybe even a coach that you need to know your why. You've read about it in books, you've seen it on videos and TED Talks, that knowing your why is the essential first step in knowing yourself. And you've always thought how valuable it would be to know your why, but you just didn't really have a way to do it. So it became this concept that you really wanted, but you couldn't find a way to get it. Or maybe you've tried to discover your why and you've spent countless days and months even trying to figure it out, but you're not sure that it's right, and you know how critical it is because it's the basis of everything you're going to do. Or maybe you felt like you already know your why and you say, yeah, I got it. But then 2 days later, you're not really feeling it anymore, so now you're not sure. I felt that same way when I was trying to discover my why. So I spent many, many months with experts and books trying to figure it out. And once I did, I was able to codify the process for helping others discover their why. And that's what we're going to share with you using the why discovery. Everything we've learned over the last 10 years of helping tens of thousands of people discover their why has been condensed down to the why discovery. With over 1,500 possible question options, we used logic-based programming, so instead of having to answer hundreds of questions, you will only have to answer about 10 to 12 questions to discover your why and gain the clarity that you need to get clear, stand out, and play bigger. It's quick, it's easy, and it's extremely accurate. In about 4 to 5 minutes, you will discover your why. Are you ready? Then click on the button below and discover your why now.
Okay, so I'm going to put a link in the chat if you are interested in going through this process, because I think it is super powerful and it is available for everyone. There is, like he said, it is a process that takes you about 10 minutes and it allows you to get really clear on everything that you do. It gives you a complete printout, kind of like DISC or all of those assessments. And then if you are interested in the class, we go through a 2-hour workshop that gives you the whole process and helps you get really clear in everything else that you're doing and how you're communicating. So I wanted to put those there in the chat for you. The classes are Sundays from 4 to 6. And I'm going to put this other stuff right here for you so you'll have it in the chat. of how you can find me if you have questions. The last screen that I have here before I close just is right here. So the workshop is valued at $500. You get a workbook workshop, so it's 2 for 1, buy one get one. So for $250, you get you or your teammate or your spouse or your friend. You can bring them. You get 2 why assessments, 2 full workbooks, 2 hours of the why workshop, and then 2 separate one-on-one coaching for how to live your why. So designing your why, how, what statement, and then really starting to live. How do you use this in your everyday life? How do you use this in your business? How do you redesign your mission statement for your website? So I offer that for groups like this because I think it's so powerful and it absolutely changes everything that you do. So I've put the links there in the chat. I'd like to open this up for questions. And thank you very, very much for your attention, your time, your participation. You guys are awesome. And I'd love to be able to help answer any questions.
I have a question, Melanie. So as I
Yes.
was going through and listening to this, okay, so I'm a deep assessment junkie. I love them all. I love all the things. Love the Enneagram. It's probably one of my favorites. So my mind, when you had us do the tic-tac-toe with the 9 boxes, so anybody who knows anything about Enneagram, there's 9 Enneagram types. Like, as you're doing this, do you feel like, kind of a 2-part question, like that your why might tie back to your Enneagram type? And 2, do you feel like there's a pretty strong correlation between the what's and the hows, or the how and the why, or what, like all those different, like, do you feel like if this is your why, it probably points to this as your what or how or whatever?
No,
Okay.
not at all. Not at all. And that's the funny thing, because I thought too, I was just like trying to figure it out. You know, my mind was like, okay, well, I know I'm a contribute. When I saw all of these the first time, I said, well, I know I'm a contribute. I don't need to worry about it. I know that's how I show up to add value. And then I was like, no, it's not. Really? And so then I went through this whole, the workshop, and I thought, oh my gosh, I really do. Like, when people come to me, why do they come to me? Because they want to design something different, something completely different. They just don't want to start a podcast. They just don't want to know about how to record audio. They don't want to know about, personal growth. They're like, okay, I know you're going to take me through a completely different experience. Not going to get into anywhere else, because it's how you think, it's how you show up. And so when I say, when I teach personal growth classes and we talk about the comparison gap that so many people have, they're like, well, I want to look like that, and I want to do it that way. And I've had lots of clients that come and say, could you just teach me this part? I just want to do this because I need to show up, because I need to teach what I'm learning. And so I hear that this is the way to do it. Can you just teach me this? And I'm always like, you're not my client. You're not my client, because I'm just not going to teach you how to do this. Go to another workshop or get online and learn it. But what I love to do is create something that doesn't exist, right? Taking your gift and using that to create something that looks completely different for you to stand out in your industry. So that's how I knew. I was like, it just started again. Like I said, it gets really crystal clear. And when it does, it fits like a glove. And you like want to get on the mountaintop and go, I get it now. I don't have to be an imposter or hide back from showing up in a room where you don't have the confidence, because you say, well, I'm really not sure that I belong in that group, or I shouldn't show up, and I'm not equipped, or I haven't studied enough. Yet when you show up authentically, people are attracted to you because of your authenticity. It's not about, I have to learn this until. And that's why, is Georgie still on here?
No.
No, she had to
No.
hop off.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? As I heard her say that, I was like, oh my gosh, I know we've all felt that way. I can't do it this way because, and it's like, no, 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 no. What you can do is learn your why. Man, you start to communicate that, and you start to get really clear. You may not have it all figured out immediately, but you start to get really clear on who's responding to you, how you are serving, and then you create a niche in the market that never maybe existed. So
I love
That's
that. Do you feel like you see people once they do the work, like the deeper work, start to get like, especially as entrepreneurs, like business owners, get crystal clear and even start realizing the things that they don't want to do anymore? Like maybe they've
yes.
been doing it because they can do them, but they don't do them anymore because it doesn't actually fill their why.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because when you aren't living in your why, you feel like you have to carry all the weight.
Yeah.
And you're
It's
like,
very
well, like,
draining.
right, for me, so I was a contributor. I'm like, well, I got to do this and I got to do that and I got to help my husband and I got to do this. And now I'm like, no, 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 no. I know what my gift is. I know how I can be most effective, and that's how I spend my time. The rest of it, I was talking to Kathy here when we were going back. Kathy, I'm not going to say your name right. Denoyer? Yeah. Awesome.
Yep. Well done.
And I've never been a teacher. But about automation, marketing automation, because it's like, it's those things that you get so clear. You're like, okay, what I do love and where I am gifted is this. So all these other things that you used to say, well, I can squeeze that in. No, don't do that anymore. So that's absolutely love it. And so my husband took this. His why is trust. How he shows his trust is through mastery. So he masters things, everything that he does to gain trust in his family, in his life, in his clients. When somebody doesn't do something that he feels is trustworthy, it's a red flag. It's immediately red flag. And then what he ultimately delivers is helping people um, make sense out of the complex. They bring him all kinds of stuff, for his clients, videos, things that he doesn't know maybe exactly how to get to the end result of what they want. Yet he knows that he can go to all the research that he's learned and he can help create trust with them that he can complete that project for them. So that's when he started to communicate that way. He was like, I get it. I get it. I no longer feel like I have to be suffocated and that I can't, that trust is important to people. And so the thing is, when he started to learn to communicate that way to people, those people started showing up to him. And he wasn't feeling threatened of, well, just because if I don't trust them, I really can't have a working relationship with them. It just changed, right? And it gave him permission to kind of be like, I'm working with the people that believe what I believe. So that's the difference. That's the difference. It's like you cut all of that fat out, like you cut that dating experience out, right? You get right to the love. So
Can you answer Brooke's question about the Enneagram? I'm curious as well. Like, do you feel like these 9 correlate to because I know that's the whole difference of the Enneagram versus other personality tests is the why.
yes. Yes. And it's funny because so all the personal growth stuff that I have taught for so many years, Jody and I took an assessment of gaps, gaps that you have that show up in your life for growth. And these aligned with the whys. And so we were like, oh my gosh, that totally makes sense. Right. And so everything that you do, all of these processes, you say, okay, if I get this, if I can start with this first, everything else starts to build around it. And then I can be authentic. I can really start to just step in and be authentic to who I am. And it's life changing. It was for me, and it has been for a lot of people that I've taken through this and worked with. And I say, oh my gosh, it just gets you that clarity that you think, could it be that easy? And it gives you the energy and the passion to do everything else, making a bigger impact. It's just the absolute truth. I'm going to go over here to the chat here. The workshop, I'm doing those virtually right now because, people are afraid of COVID. I am going to start offering them for those that are in Indianapolis. I'm going to start doing those different places live. I do workshops live for different women's organizations and events. Lori, yes, I will. That should be pushing from, you should get a code from the Y Institute, and it may take just a few minutes for that to generate, and that'll come through that. Anything else? Okay. Any other questions? I've put my contact information in there. I'm at everydayleaders.com. You can contact me or make, which is really easy, Melanie Ake, MAKE at everydayleaders.
I mean, I love that. I have to say, when I was emailing you, and it was like, I just said it as one full, like, she's making everyday leaders. Look at her. I love it.
It just, you know what? I found the right guy.
That's right.
30 years. Oh my
It
goodness.
just took figuring out your why, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. Oh my goodness.
Melanie, this has been so good. This has been awesome.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. If you guys know anyone, I do these all the time. I love these. I think it's so powerful to help people just understand more about it. And so if there's anything that I can do for you guys, I'm right here in Indianapolis, but I travel all over the country and would love to help out in any way. So thank you very, very much for your time. And again, if you need anything, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Melanie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.